Eamon Khan here, 4 seconds out with British Boxing Hall of Fame trainer now, Shane McGuigan, and happy birthday to you as well too. Busy period, busy time for you. Got Adam Azim as well out this weekend.
Yeah, well, it's been quite quiet actually on the old boxing front. Ellie's been the last boxer we've had out, and then obviously Adam. So excited to get him out and get the stable busy again.
I did hear more than a whisper that it could have been Richard Comey in the opposite corner. How far or how close was that, and what's the difference between Scobie and Comey when it comes to Adam in the ring?
Just achievements, really, just like credibility. I kind of asked for the Comey fight. I thought former world champion. I think it's important as you're building your name and building a brand for yourself to go through with former world champions. Like Lipnets was a world champion, Comey's a world champion, Zoe Abdullah was a world champion. Zoe Abdullah was obviously fresher than Richard Comey, but it's nice to have that credibility there. And obviously, like Comey, his losses were against Lomachenko. Teofimo is the only one that stopped him early. Ramirez ground him now, stopped him late. He's always really held a good account of himself, and I just thought, credibility-wise, he's been in there with some great names, and if you do a good job on him, it kind of speaks volumes. But Ring Magazine, and they wanted a young, fresh guy, and that's what they got.
What's the job Adam Azim's got to do on Scobie? Of course, you're going to say win, but in a fight night where everyone's clamoring to make a highlight reel, make an impression, what's Adam Azim got to do to put his name in people's mouths?
I mean, that's the luxury of this stage. It's a big stage. It's a big stage in terms of it's like a big stage on the boxing audience. It's going to be proper boxing fans, and I think you've got to go out there and make a statement and prove yourself as a genuine superstar. I've been shouting from the rooftops for Adam Azim for a long time. I think you get this opportunity to go out there and do it, and you've got to go and put a show on, and that's just the most important thing. I don't think he's going to go labouring to a 12-round points decision. I want him to go out there and be sensible, but if and when he has him hurt, turn the screw and take him out, and that's the plan.
Adam and Dalton, of course, are on different paths, but in the context of the two, they're both rivals. Dalton's now stepping up to world title contention and level. Is Adam Azim, is that his next stop after this one?
Yeah, I mean, that's always been the plan. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're going for the WBO. We're going to get a good ranking in WBO. He's well ranked anyway, but we're going to push him up with the WBO. Teofimo Lopez, not sure what he's doing with his career, but
Chris Stevenson.
Yeah, for the 140, WBO. But is that finalised?
It seems about as.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, then that's great, But where he's going to want to go afterwards, is he going to want to challenge Adam Azim? Probably not until Adam gets a bigger name. So we're gonna just do our best to push up the rankings and try and get a world title fight. And you never know. Lopez might go up to 147. There might be opportunities for him up there. And if that becomes vacant, whoever will be hopefully in line. And I think Adam Azim versus Dalton Smith for a unification fight that's the icing on the cake. We've been working to get this fight from both sides of the party to try and build this fight over time, and that would be the ideal scenario. And hopefully they both come through and it actually comes to fruition at one stage.
Can I get a stable update? Ellie Scottney had to pull out with an injury. Caroline Dubois, not sure the status there. Chris Smith's unfortunate period with no bid from his promoter. Alex McMillan, I believe, is joining the stable as well too. What's their current status?
Alex McMillan's got a fight on the 29th. I've linked up with Alex Anad as well, so he's going to have a quick run out in November the 30th. He's going to do it at 12 stone 2. He's going down to super middleweight. It's going to be a problem down there. We want some big names down there. I genuinely believe he can fight for a world title, win a world title at super middleweight. So that's the plan. CBS, look, we knew what was going on with the purse bids. The broadcasters that we were working with, or and with Boxer and stuff, weren't necessarily that interested in the Fresh fight. So
it's a shame though, isn't it? Because he did a lot of good nights for Boxer in Bournemouth.
No, I don't think it's for us to throw any shade on Boxer or anything like that. It's just we understand it's like they're at the perils of the broadcaster, so it all has to work. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've done some good stuff with Boxer, definitely with Chris Burns-Smith, but they've done some good stuff with us. So, his biggest nights and his best nights have been on Sky Sports and with Boxer. So, it's more of a shame what's happened between those two parties. But this stuff happens all the time. Like they change platforms and go out somewhere else, and Chris wife's just had a baby not that long ago, so he had a busy year last year. He's had one fight this year. He needs big names and big challenges and tests, and like the idea of that fresh fight was literally just to get the interim world title, but because Ramirez was injured and he was potentially heard on the grapevine he was potentially going to go up to heavyweight, so that was the idea of that. But apparently he's boxing in January, Ramirez, and defending his world title. So there's just the most important thing for Chris is to land a big name. So we're going to be out on the search for that soon.
Caroline, Ellie.
Caroline, yeah. So Caroline's she's we're figuring out what's going on with her. But I think we'll have news imminently. It's hard to elaborate until things are all done, but there's some great opportunities for her. And unfortunately, Ellie had to pull out with a back injury, and that fight didn't go ahead anyway. The November the 14th fight. So frustrating times. We're looking at a January date, and that's the most important thing. She gets out. She gets that undisputed title fight, and she does what she needs to do to clean up that division.
You could say yes or no, nod your head or whatever, but there's no way MVP wouldn't be interested in Caroline Dubois, right?
Yeah, of course they are. They're interested in Clarissa Shields as well. They're interested in, I know Clarissa's just done her deal, but they've been interested in all female boxers. Like, we understand the model. Like, they want to get all the female fighters, and it's nice to see it. But the UFC model doesn't work in boxing, because there's just too many organisations, too many governing bodies, and even doing it in female boxing, it doesn't necessarily work, in my opinion. So, fights don't have a value; fighters have a value. So that's the thing. Like, Caroline's a special talent, and she's wanted and sought after by a lot of people. So the most important thing is that we do right for her.
Let me get some headlines from you. First of all, I know you're a bona fide coach and you don't like some of these questions, but there's a big fight on the horizon, it seems, in the form of Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. That fight, if it's a fight materialising over the line, what do you think about that when it shakes up?
I would be flabbergasted if that materialises. I would be flabbergasted. Just solely because, like Jake Paul's doing his thing and he's doing well, in terms of like he's selling the fights well. He builds a narrative. AJ doesn't need the money that Jake Paul. AJ's going to do it to flatten him. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's doing it to build drama, and whether he genuinely believes he can beat Anthony Joshua or not, I would be shocked if he genuinely. I mean, I'd be shocked if he thinks he can beat Anthony Joshua. Like, there's deluded and then there's that, and if he gets knocked out, if it's an exhibition, it's a different story. If it's a proper fight with 10-ounce gloves and you let Anthony Joshua let his hands go, then come on, it's just I don't think he'll be in boxing much longer after that fight. So it's just I just don't see any. I just can't make any understanding of it.
I just follow up with one last question. When I speak to the American media and American audiences, they feel that Jake Paul can win because Anthony Joshua's got a rocky chin. Does Jake Paul have the power? Does he have the execution to land a shot like that on AJ?
I mean, Jake Paul's a decent puncher, don't get me wrong, but who's Anthony Joshua been beaten by or knocked out by? He's been knocked out by world-class punchers. Like Daniel Dubois is a phenomenal puncher. Like, Andy Ruiz dropped him. He still got back up onto his feet, fought concussed for rounds on end. He's been in there with Usyk. He's done 24 rounds at Usyk, who's knocked out Dubois twice, who's not got a bad chin. Daniel's got a good chin. So, you can say what you like. It's heavyweight boxing. All great heavyweight fighters, unless they're like, the George Foremans of this world, like, and they've got these granite chins, like, or they're the ones that don't get knocked out. But most of them at some stage has been dropped. Even Lennox Lewis, he got dropped badly by Hassan Rahman. He got it right in the return. But like, this is heavyweight boxing. You would expect to be in there against Daniel Barr and get dropped. Do you see what I'm saying? So, but there's a world class puncher in Daniel Barr, and then there's Jake Paul, like, who's knocking out guys that aren't fit to stand up. Do you know what I mean? In that sense, like, stranger things can happen in boxing, but I would be shocked if he could hurt him.
I appreciate it. Thank you.